Picture this. You're at a party, networking event, or even just a casual gathering. Someone approaches you, and after the initial, "Hi, how are you?" your brain just freezes. That awkward silence stretches forever. A black hole in the conversation, while you desperately search for literally anything to say. Sound painfully familiar? What if I told you this common, uncomfortable scenario happens not because you're boring or socially inept, but because your brain is actually working too well? Stick around, because I'm about to flip everything you think you know about effortless conversation on its head. Here's the truth nobody talks about. You don't have a nothing to say problem. You have a too much to filter problem. Your mind, that incredible processing machine, generates hundreds of potential responses every minute. But then a little internal critic, that self-appointed editor, pipes up. "Nope, that's weird. They won't care about that. That's too random. You'll sound stupid." This relentless internal critic is literally stealing your most authentic, interesting words before they even leave your mouth. It's sabotaging your natural flow. But what if there was a way to mute that critic, or even better, turn it into your ally? What if you could easily access all those brilliant, spontaneous thoughts your brain keeps rejecting? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Plus, I'll give you a complete, battle-tested toolkit that won't just help you avoid awkward silences, but genuinely make you the person everyone wants to talk to, the one who makes others feel heard, understood, and interesting. Let's start with the most game-changing technique I've ever discovered. I call it the 5-second decision rule, and I know it's going to sound almost too simple to work, but trust me, its power lies precisely in its simplicity and its ability to bypass that internal censor. Here's how it works. When someone says something to you, you have exactly 5 seconds to respond with whatever pops into your head first. Not the second thought, not the perfectly polished, edited version, but the absolute first, raw thing your brain serves up. Why does this seemingly impulsive approach work so miraculously well? Because your first instinct is usually far more authentic, spontaneous, and genuinely interesting than anything your self-conscious filter would approve. When someone mentions they just bought a new car, your very first thought might be, "Oh, I wonder if they got a good deal." Or perhaps, "My cousin just got scammed at a dealership." Don't pause to analyze which one sounds better, more polite, or more intelligent. Just pick one and go with it. That scam story might lead to a fascinating, unexpected conversation about consumer rights, negotiation tactics, or family drama. The deal question might uncover their meticulous research process or their financial philosophy. Both are absolute goldmines for conversation, but only if you actually say them instead of filtering them out. Try this today. Set a mental timer, 5 seconds maximum. You'll be genuinely amazed at how much more natural, engaging, and your conversations become when you stop trying to be perfectly articulate and start being genuinely reactive. This isn't about perfection, it's about connection. Now, here's something that might genuinely blow your mind, completely shifting your paradigm of what makes a great conversationalist. The best conversationalists aren't necessarily the smartest people in the room, or the wittiest, or the most well-traveled. They're actually the ones who ask the best questions. And the surprising secret to asking truly great questions is something I call strategic ignorance. Strategic ignorance means consciously playing a little bit dumb about things you actually understand pretty well. For instance, when someone mentions they're a graphic designer, instead of showing off what you know about the latest design software or industry trends, resist the urge. Instead, try a strategically ignorant approach. "Oh, that sounds incredibly creative. What's a typical day like for you beyond just designing?" Or, "What's the weirdest, most unexpected project you've ever worked on in that field?" This counterintuitive technique is incredibly powerful because it accomplishes two vital things simultaneously. First, it makes the other person feel like a genuine expert, which is an amazing feeling for anyone. And second, it consistently gives you insider information, unique perspectives, and genuinely interesting anecdotes that you simply wouldn't have learned otherwise if you'd just shown off your own knowledge. I originally learned this technique by meticulously watching late-night talk show hosts. Think about it. They're talking to A-list celebrities, world-renowned experts, best-selling authors, people way more accomplished and knowledgeable than most of us will ever meet. But notice what the best hosts consistently do. They ask questions a genuinely curious 12-year-old would ask. Questions like, how does that even work? What's that really like behind the scenes? Or has anything truly crazy or unexpected ever happened during your journey? The magic isn't in showing how much they know, it's in genuinely showing how much they want to learn and how fascinated they are by the other person's world. People will literally queue up to talk to someone who makes them feel interesting, important, and truly seen. Here's where things get really interesting and where you can elevate your listening skills to an art form. Every story someone tells you contains multiple hidden conversation threads, like a complex, shimmering spiderweb of potential topics. Most people, when listening, tend to grab just one thread. And when that single thread inevitably breaks or runs out, they panic, leading right back to that awkward silence. I'm going to teach you to instinctively see all the threads. Let's imagine someone tells you, I was supposed to meet my friend Sarah for brunch yesterday, but she canceled last minute because her dog got sick, so I ended up trying that new Korean place alone. Most people would respond to just one obvious element, maybe, oh no, is the dog okay? While empathetic, look at all the rich conversation gold you're missing.
You're missing the friendship dynamic with Sarah, their feelings about eating alone, the new Korean food experience itself, changes to their weekend routine, pet ownership stories, or even their general habits for exploring new restaurants. Here's the game changer. Don't just identify these threads in your mind. Actively acknowledge multiple ones in your response. Try something like, oh wow, sick dog drama and discovering new food solo. That's quite a plot twist for a Sunday. How was the Korean place? And more importantly, is the dog all right? This technique instantly shows you're not just waiting for your turn to talk. You're actually listening deeply to their whole story. Plus, it gives them multiple exciting directions to take the conversation, making it flow naturally instead of feeling forced or like an interrogation. Now let's talk about, arguably, the most powerful conversation tool you'll ever master, the curiosity cascade. This is where you turn one simple question into a chain reaction of discovery, transforming surface-level small talk into genuine, insightful connection. Instead of asking one question and then immediately jumping to your own story or opinion, you commit to asking follow-up questions that go progressively deeper into their experience. It's like being a friendly detective, but for interesting life details instead of crimes. Here's how it works with a practical example. Someone says, I just got back from a work conference in Denver. Level 1. Oh, how was the conference? Standard small talk, perfectly fine as a starting point. Level 2. What was the most surprising thing you learned? Begins to dig a bit deeper into their experience. Level 3. How are you planning to use that in your current projects? Connects the learning to their direct application, showing genuine interest in their work. Level 4. Do you think your company will actually implement those changes, or is it one of those great ideas that just disappears after the event? This takes it to a new level, hinting at company culture, challenges, or their personal take on it. This is where real insight and vulnerability can emerge. See what happened there? We went from generic small talk to them sharing real insights about their work environment, company culture, and even their personal frustrations or excitement. That's where true connection happens, where the conversation becomes memorable and meaningful. The key, and I cannot stress this enough, is genuine curiosity. It's not about using curiosity as a mere technique, but actually being fascinated by how other people navigate their unique lives. Everyone has developed unique strategies, perspectives, and coping mechanisms for dealing with common human problems. Your job as the ultimate conversationalist is to uncover those fascinating strategies. All right, let's get practical. Even with all these powerful techniques, sometimes your mind will just go blank. It happens to everyone, including professional speakers, seasoned interviewers, and world-class comedians. The difference isn't that they never freeze. It's that they have a mental emergency kit ready to deploy. Here are 5 simple yet incredibly effective conversation lifelines that work in almost any situation. The environmental observation. Comment on something in your shared space. This works because it's immediately relatable and requires no prior knowledge. Examples. This playlist is actually perfect for this kind of weather, isn't it? Or, I love how they've decorated this place. It feels less like a coffee shop and more like someone's living room. It's low stakes and creates common ground. Question the obvious. Take something visibly apparent about the other person or the situation and turn it into an open-ended question. This shows you're observant without being intrusive. Examples. You seem like someone who has really strong opinions about coffee. What's your go-to order? Or, I bet you have some incredible stories about dealing with difficult customers in this line of work. What's the craziest thing that's happened? The hypothetical. Pose an interesting what-if scenario. This sparks imagination and often reveals a lot about someone's values or personality. Examples. If you could redesign your job from scratch with no limitations, what would you change first? Or, what would you do if you suddenly won, say, like $50,000 tomorrow? Not life-changing money, but enough to be interesting. The callback. Return to something they mentioned earlier that sparked your interest, showing you were actively listening. This builds rapport and makes them feel valued. Example. Actually, I keep thinking about what you said earlier about your sister's vintage clothing business. How did she even get started with that? That sounds fascinating. The genuine compliment with a question. Notice something authentic you genuinely admire, and then ask an open-ended question about it. This is powerful because it's sincere and invites them to share their passion. Example, you seem really passionate when you talk about teaching. What specifically got you into that field? Keep 2 or 3 of these ready at all times. They're not conversation tricks. They're genuine ways to connect when your brain temporarily goes offline. Finally, let's talk about something nobody explicitly teaches, but absolutely everyone needs to know how to do gracefully. How to end conversations without making it weird or awkward. The perfect exit formula has 3 simple, elegant parts: appreciation, reason, and bridge. Appreciation. Start by genuinely acknowledging the value of the conversation. Example. This has been really interesting. I had no idea marketing psychology was so complex. Reason. Give a non-personal, polite reason for leaving. This removes any perception of rejection. Example, I should probably grab some coffee before they close, or I need to quickly say hello to my friend before I head out. Bridge. Create a clear pathway for future connection, if desired. Example, I'd love to hear how that project turns out. Mind if I connect with you on LinkedIn? Or, let's definitely catch up again soon. This formula works because you're acknowledging the value of the shared time, giving a neutral reason for your departure, and creating a natural pathway for future interaction. No one feels rejected or dismissed, and you leave the door open for continued connection. Remember, ending a conversation well is just as important as starting one. It's the last impression you leave, and it fundamentally determines whether that person would be genuinely excited to talk to you again. Look, here's the bottom line. Conversation isn't about being the most interesting person in the room. It's about being the most interested person in the room. It's about creating space for authentic human connection in a world that's becoming increasingly digital and disconnected. If you're ready to transform your conversations and truly connect with others, then hit that like button. Have you ever tried any of these techniques, or have your own go-to conversation hack? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights could be the missing piece for someone else. Thanks for watching.